afternoon, Bay Nation. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Bay. I'm your host, Mike Williams, and here's my co-host, Geoffrey.
Good afternoon, Bay Nation.
In this episode, we're going to be going over the AFC South. And for those of you who do not remember, that is the Titans, the Texans, the Jaguars, and the Colts. I'm going to be going over the different adds and drops and the different things during the offseason that can affect the teams and your fantasy football draft. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the link down below. And without further ado, Geoffrey, let's get it started.
I'm on it, sir. Here we go.
We're going to start off with the Tennessee Titans in this one. All right, Geoffrey, what's up first?
Coaches.
There was a change at offensive coordinator. Todd Downing is the new offensive coordinator for this team, and I'm very curious to see how the offense is going to change. Last year, Arthur Smith did a lot of play-action plays. It really helped Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill play to the best of their ability. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to change this year with the new offensive coordinator. I'll be keeping you posted. On to the next one.
Quarterbacks.
Ryan Tannehill is one of the most disrespected quarterbacks in fantasy. Every year since he's been in Tennessee, he's efficient and he can use his legs. And with him going in the 10th round, I definitely love that value. He's one of the last quarterbacks that I feel truly comfortable grabbing and having him as a starter throughout my year. On to the next one.
Wide receivers.
A.J. Brown had surgery on both of his knees, and as of right now, he's recovered. If you want more detail, check out my injury report video. But I do like A.J. Brown. He is a huge wide receiver. He's tall, he's fast, and he's strong. Just how I like my wide receivers. I definitely think that he is a solid grab in the middle of the 3rd round. I'm digging his spot there. And next, out goes Corey Davis, and in comes Julio Jones. Love Julio Jones. I think that he is one of the most talented wide receivers in the league. In a 10-team league, he's going in the back of the 4th, early 5th round, and I love that value. He has the potential to be a top 10 wide receiver. And yes, I know, he normally does not get a lot of touchdowns, but when you have A.J. Brown on the other side and Derrick Henry in the backfield, you can't double Julio Jones. I think that that is going to skyrocket his touchdowns this year. Look out for Julio Jones having a great bounce back year. They signed him to a 3-year, $66 million deal with $64 million guaranteed. That is a huge contract. His yearly salary is the 2nd most amongst all wide receivers. And don't forget what I've been saying, follow the money. I'm telling you, teams speak more with their pockets than they do with their mouths. Regardless of what they say out loud, the people they play are the people they plan on using. And for those people that don't think that Julio Jones is going to get enough targets to make him viable in fantasy, considering where he's going in drafts, Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith are both gone. That's a lot of targets that need to find a new home, and they're not all going to Anthony Fisher. Julio Jones has had a minor leg injury, but I believe that they're holding him out more for precaution than for severity of the injury. If you want more of an update, check out my injury report. The team also signed Josh Reynolds to a 1-year, $1.75 million deal. I don't think that he's going to be very viable in redraft leagues, but if somebody does go down, I think that he could step up. Keep it moving.
Running backs.
We have Derrick Henry as one of the best running backs in the league. He is hard to tackle. He's going to get the work. And on top of that, the receiving core this year is incredible. If Julio Jones and A.J. Brown are going to stay on the field and be healthy, I believe that Derrick Henry is going to have more open running lanes than he's ever had. You can't double Julio Jones because you have A.J. Brown on the other side, and you can't stack the box because you have those 2 receivers on the outside. I definitely think that they're not going to be stacking the box with Derrick Henry as much this year, which is going to make his running a lot easier. And even if his rushing decreases a little bit, I do believe his efficiency will increase because of the lack of stacked boxes. On to the next one.
Tight ends.
Anthony Fisher. I don't think that most people are drafting him in their fantasy leagues, but I will be watching him on the waiver wire. I do think that there's a chance that they utilize him in the red zone. All right, let's talk about the fantasy value for these players. Ryan Tannehill, I think, is an absolute fantastic grab going in the 10th round. He's one of the last quarterbacks that I trust. Next, we have the wide receiver position. I like both Julio Jones and A.J. Brown where they're going. A.J. Brown going in the 3rd round and Julio going in the late 4th, early 5th. And Derrick Henry, you're going to have to pay up for him, but he's definitely worth it. Derrick Henry is an incredible running back. No, I don't think he's going to get the same amount of volume he got last year, but I do think that he's going to be more efficient, and I think he's worth that 4th overall draft pick. I'm not trying to draft Anthony Firsker, but I do believe that he's somebody we should watch out for. All right, that's enough on the Titans. On to the next team.
I'm on it, sir. Here we go.
Up next, we have the Indianapolis Colts. All right, Jeffrey, what's up first?
Coaches.
Marcus Brady is taking over the offensive coordinator position for the Indianapolis Colts. He was previously the quarterbacks coach, and now he is going to be the offensive coordinator. I don't think much is going to change in this offense. Frank Reich is still calling the shots. Keep it moving.
Quarterbacks.
Carson Wentz is dealing with a foot injury, and I don't talk too much about offensive linemen, but Quentin Nelson, one of the best offensive linemen in the league, has the same injury as Carson Wentz. For more information on that, check out my injury report. The original timeline was anywhere between 5 and 12 weeks, but it seems like the Colts believe that Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson could be coming back around week 1, which will definitely help this offense. Taking away one of the best offensive linemen and the quarterback is definitely going to hurt the running back and the receiver, so I hope that they get back soon. As of right now, I'm not drafting Carson Wentz. On to the next one.
Wide receivers.
For the wide receiver position, we have T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman Jr., Paris Campbell, and Zach Pascal. They re-signed T.Y. Hilton, who is an aging veteran, but I still think that he has some juice left in him. My favorite of the 3, I would have to say, is probably Michael Pittman. On to the next one.
Running backs.
Jonathan Taylor is one of the most talented running backs in the league, behind a great offensive line. The only problem is I think that they're going to be sharing the workload around. I think that Nyheim Hines is going to be more involved than you would like, and they brought back Marlon Mack, so I think that he's going to be involved as well. That being said, I do think Jonathan Taylor is a solid value where you're getting him. You can probably get him in the 2nd round. On to the next one.
Tight ends.
I'm not super excited about this, but they have Mo Alley Cox there and Jack Doyle. I don't believe either of them are going to be a top 10 tight end option. All right, let's talk about the fantasy value for these players. Starting at the top with Carson Wentz, no thank you, not drafting him with the injury concerns, as well as he played terrible last year. Next, we have the wide receiver position, and all of the wide receivers are going 14th round or later, so shoot your shot if you want to. I think that T.Y. Hilton has some blow-up games. I also think that the offense wants Michael Pittman to take that next step, so if I had to pick, Michael Pittman's going to be your guy. Next, we have the running back position. Jonathan Taylor is going in the middle of the 2nd round if you're in a 10-team league. He's going towards the top of the 2nd if you're in a 12-team league, though. That being said, I do think he is worth the value. He's an incredible running back. Next, we have the tight end position, and no thank you. All right, I think that's going to do it for this team. On to the next one.
I'm on it, sir. Here we go.
Up next, we have the Houston Texans. All right, Jeffrey, what's up first?
Coaches.
Bill O'Brien is out, and in comes David Culley. I feel bad for him. This is a rough situation to walk into, but I am rooting for him to have a good year. That being said, they have a pretty terrible team surrounding him, so he's going to have to do a nice rebuild. Keep it moving.
Quarterbacks.
Deshaun Watson is currently going through some legal issues, and I'm not quite sure how that is going to work out. I'll be keeping you posted on that, but they have brought in Tyrod Taylor on a 1-year, $5 million deal to take the reins while Deshaun Watson is possibly going to be out. Deshaun Watson has made it clear he does not want to play for this team anymore. On to the next one.
Wide receivers.
Brandon Cooks is really the only one that I'm looking at on this team. They did add Anthony Miller and Nico Collins, but I'm really not excited about it. Brandon Cooks is the guy I think you want in this offense. On to the next one.
Running backs.
This is a mess. They have David Johnson, Rex Burkhead, Mark Ingram, and Philip Lindsay. And apparently David Johnson isn't even the presumed starter anymore. From what I hear, they want to use David Johnson as a Duke Johnson type role, which is not exciting. On to the next one.
Tight ends.
I'm not really excited about any of those, especially with Tyrod Taylor being the quarterback. All right, let's talk about the fantasy value of these players. Tyrod Taylor, no thank you. If you feel like Deshaun Watson's going to play, he's going almost undrafted, so scoop him up if you believe. I'm not very confident. Next, we have the wide receiver positions, and the only one I'm looking at is Brandon Cooks, who is going surprisingly late. I really like him as a receiver, and I think that he is a solid grab where he's going. Next, you have the running back position, and I'm kind of hands off on this one. We have David Johnson going in the 12th round and Phillip Lindsay going in the 16th round. I don't believe that either one of them will have great fantasy value, but if you're going to shoot your shot, those are the two that I'd be looking at. And I'm not touching the tight end position. All right, that's going to do it for this one. On to the next one.
I'm on it, sir. Here we go.
Up next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this team has been completely overhauled, which, good, they really needed it. All right, Jeffrey, what's up first?
Coaches.
Greg Monroe is out, and in comes Urban Meyer. For those of you who do not know, Urban Meyer was a college coach at Florida and at Ohio State, where he was very good. He's an extremely talented coach. I'm very interested to see what he does in the NFL game, because we know the transition from college to NFL can be difficult, but he is a solid coach. He also brought with him as an offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevell. On to the next one.
Quarterbacks.
In the NFL draft, the #1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence, went to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think that that was a fantastic grab by them. They're doing a great job with turning this franchise around, and Lawrence was a fantastic start. Then they picked up his buddy, Travis Etienne, running back out of Clemson, and Trevor Lawrence, obviously, out of Clemson as well. Trevor Lawrence, I think, has a lot of upside. He's definitely NFL ready. I'm very curious to see how he's going to play. He does a little bit with his legs, and he also throws the ball. I like him. He seems to be a talented quarterback. I'll be interested to see what he can do in the NFL. On to the next one.
Wide receivers.
DJ Chark currently has a minor break in his hand, and if you want more updates on that injury, check out my injury report video. Next, we have Laviska Shenault. I think that he is going to be a solid wide receiver this year, one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite people to throw to. And don't forget about the add of Marvin Jones Jr., who is constantly underrated. I like Marvin Jones. This team went out to get him specifically, so I think that they will utilize him this year. On to the next one.
Running backs.
Unfortunately, Travis Etienne had a mid-foot injury. It has been diagnosed as a Liz Frank injury, and he's going to be out for the year. He was put on IR prior to the season starting, and because he wasn't on the 53-man roster, he is not eligible to come back during this season. So he is done for the year. That is terrible. They drafted him in the first round so that he could play with his buddy, Trevor Lawrence, but unfortunately, he's not going to be playing this year. It's really a bummer. I was excited to see what he can do in the passing game, but when one man goes down, another man comes up. James Robinson, somebody that a lot of people have left for dead in fantasy drafts. He is definitely a viable add now. He's going to shoot up the draft rosters, and I completely understand. He is going to get a solid workload. Now, I still believe that Carlos Hyde was brought there for a reason, and they will use him, but I don't think that he's going to take away enough from James Robinson to not make him fantasy viable. I think that he is going to be a solid running back too moving forward. And at the running back position, they also brought in Carlos Hyde. I don't think he'll have much fantasy value, but he's on the roster, and he'll be taking up rushing attempts. On to the next one.
Tight ends.
At the tight end position, the Jacksonville Jaguars picked up Tim Tebow. Yeah, I was really happy for him. Sold a lot of jerseys. He's a big-time man down here in Florida. Unfortunately, he got released. He's no longer on the team. At least he got that shot. I was really hoping that he could make a little stamp down in Jacksonville, maybe do a little gadget plays, but apparently he didn't make the cut. It's unfortunate. Good luck for whatever you do next, Tim Tebow. Florida's still rooting for you. All right, let's get into the fantasy value of these players. Starting at the top, Trevor Lawrence is going fairly late in drafts, around the 13th round. I think that he's a solid grab there if you want to shoot for some upside. He's not my favorite of the rookies. I prefer Trey Lance and Justin Fields, but I do think that Trevor Lawrence has some long-standing upside. Next, we have the wide receiver position. Laviska Shenault and DJ Chark are going around the 10th round. I think that's solid value for what you're going to get from them. I do like Laviska Shenault, but I like Marvin Jones a little bit better going in the 13th round. All right, running back fantasy value. Now that Travis Etienne is unfortunately on IR, not playing this year, James Robinson is definitely going to be viable. If you have him already, you got him at a steal. The fact that you got him as late as you did is only because of this injury. I definitely think that he is a viable running back too, and you should be trying to get him in drafts. He proved last year that he's a good running back. Mind you, last year he got all the work. This year, he won't get all the work like he got last year. I think Carlos Hyde is going to be siphoning some of that work, but I don't think that should scare you away from drafting James Robinson. He's going to get a solid workload, and I do think that this offense will be better than it was last year. And finally is the tight end position, and I'm not really excited about that. I think that's going to do it for the breakdown of this division. Also, with any more updates that you need, check out my other division breakdowns. Let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell down below.
See you soon, Bay Nation.
Good luck drafting, everybody. Peace.